Hello and welcome everyone. This is Dev Chatter. My name is Brendan, and today we are going to continue on our C#.NET Core chatbot. So for those of you that have been following along, we are going to do a little bit of a review of some pull requests that have come in recently. Some of those are pull requests that of the code that we worked on last stream, so anybody that missed the stream yesterday will be able to catch up with that. And I don't want to jump in too quickly because I know we still have people that are joining in. We just got our host from C# Fritz. So welcome to anyone that is coming in from the C# Fritz stream and is just sitting around. So we'll do a little bit of discussion of what we're going to work on as well. I'm going to bring up GitHub and we can take a look at the issues in our issue list, and we'll start tackling those. So, first things first, I am going to bring up GitHub, and I apologize in advance. I really should switch my display settings, so give me a sec, guys. How do I change it so that I have a dark theme on here? I don't see a quick button to press for that, so I'm going to leave it. So sorry guys, I will blind you with that. Welcome Avocado, thank you for following. So here's what we were working on yesterday's stream. So we were working on adding a quoting system. So this is a feature that we've wanted in our bot for a while, and we're finally getting around to adding in a way of recording our quotes. So the first thing that we want to do is run this bot, and we'll sort of show it as we go. So right now, our bot should have connected to chat, so you guys should all see a chat message that popped in the lower right telling us that the bot is here. It says hello world when it enters the chat room, and it will say goodbye when it leaves. So if I do shut down the bot, you guys will all know that I've done that, and we'll get to see it. Okay, so essentially what we wanted to get working is the idea of just having quotes. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to the bot and ask it for a quote. So if we specify just !quote in the bot, it's going to respond back with a randomly chosen quote from among all the quotes that it is keeping stored. If we specify an ID, it is going to come back with that specific quote. So I can request the only 2 quotes that are in the system, and if I ask for a quote that's not in the system, it responds back and says sorry. So right now you guys should all see that down in the lower right corner. So is it that way? I don't know. I think it's that way, but I might have that backwards. We'll see if I pointed the right way. The mirroring webcams, I can never figure out what direction it's going to be for you guys, but I think I got it right. Okay, so that's the piece that we want to work on first, and I'm going to show you the pull request that I recently put in for that. I actually sent this in today. This is the code that we were working on yesterday. And so what we did, we created a quote command in our system, and this is an add quote command. This one we left as a placeholder yesterday as we hadn't finished wiring this up. So the add quote command exists. We also created the quote command. So one of them is a moderator-only ability to add a new quote that we store and are able to display later. And the other one is retrieving quotes. So that's the code you guys saw me calling a moment ago. The add quote part isn't wired up yet. So that's what we're going to knock out first today. So that code's pretty simple. I'll talk about it in a second. In order to make this work, we did have to change it so that simple command allowed us to set our role required in the command text. which is very useful for some changes we made that I made in another pull request that I'm going to show in a second. And the other piece, we made a convenience policy. So we're using a specification pattern for accessing our data. And so I made a little convenient policy for this. So this allows us to essentially define which items we want to pull out of our database when we're using Entity Framework Core. We made an entity that we're going to use for storing our data inside of the database. And for now, we just overrode the toString method to write our message out to chat. We are probably going to tweak this a little bit because I think I want to put the quote ID in there so that we know which number it is when we grab a random one. That way, if someone wants to request that they see a random one they like, they can remember the number and ask for that quote again. So there's that piece. We added a DB set for the quote entities, and let's see, did update on some versions of NuGet packages. Let's see, that's not a change. This is our initial fake data. That's where that's actually coming from. You may have seen in the issues that we're actually using an in-memory database for EF Core. So we regenerate each time. Our database, I should say. We add the commands that we're using to our set of commands that are usable in the bot. And we've got some tests that make sure that it works. And anything else interesting? Fake repo, that stuff. No, that's about it. So let's talk about the quote command really quickly. So the way that we set this up, we took in the repository as a dependency. We hard-coded command text. So command text is a property of the parent. It's part of simple command. And so we just assigned that in the constructor. And role required also. You'll remember we set both of these to protected inside of simple command, and that allows us to assign them here. And then in process, this is where we actually do the work of retrieving the quote when someone calls the command. So our process method is when a command is called, that's the code we execute. So what we're doing first is we're checking to see what that first parameter, what that first argument is. We don't care about anything else you specify, so if you add additional arguments, so if I type in quote 1 and then I say anything, well, typo, doesn't matter. The anything gets ignored here. So we're going to make that's going to be common among a lot of the commands that we do, because it's very common within Twitch for people to want to say something after they do a command that's not interpreted by the bot. So for example, I might do a lurk command when I show up to a chat, and then I might want to say something else and say something like, you know, have a great stream. So I might say lurk, have a great stream. And I don't want that to affect the command of the bot. I just want to be able to say, hey, you know, do this command, but then I've got another message I want to put in there. So that's a common thing. Okay, so what we try to do is we take that argument, we check to see if it's an integer. If it is an integer, we're able to parse it as one, I should say. Then we're going to go ahead and handle the request and grab the quote. If it wasn't, then then obviously they passed us in something bad, and we should respond back and say, hey, why did you give us a parameter and have it, you know, not be an integer? Which it could be that what we decide is that this falls through to the random quote and treat it as they didn't specify a number, so we could go that route. So if they type out a number, we might give them a random one and just treat it the same way, because perhaps that's their message. Because I just realized if you do exclamation point quote something, we're not going to do it correctly. Anyway, for our handle quote request, we come down here and we check to see if we have a quote that matches the ID they specified. If we do, then we're going to come down here, we're just going to send that quote out. If we don't have one that matches the number they put in, we respond back with, hey, I'm sorry, we didn't have that one. And that's pretty much it. For our random, we are using random, new random, just like that, although that's going to change in the next pull request, and I will show you that. So let's take a look really quickly at one other pull request before we start in the code today. I should also show this. I cleaned up our interval messages, so I changed the name from interval triggered message to just an interval message, figuring that that's probably clear enough, so I did a quick name change there. And I changed how we are using the interval messages to reduce the amount of date time passing. I got rid of the need for our initialize method, and so you'll see that disappeared. I renamed is it your time to display to is time to display. I just shortened that a little bit so it was cleaner in some places. And then if you take a look at the tests, I simplified how they work as well. So we're no longer passing in the date time like 3 or 4 times. What I did was I grabbed a library that lets me essentially override the way that the datetime.now static method works. So this test does have the awareness that when calling is time to display, that it is going to call datetime.now, which is something I'm willing to accept in our test. And essentially what I'm responding back with is datetime.now and adding an amount of time. So you'll see when I'm doing this, I want it to just get a minute in the future without me having to wait a minute in order to do this, or having to set the message as if it had been created in the past, as if its last time triggering had been in the past. So this lets me circumvent how time works for the tests. So that's what we changed there. And I did that using a pose NuGet library that someone recently mentioned. So normally I would have done this with Microsoft Fakes, which can do the same thing. But as far as I know, Microsoft Fakes is not yet available in .NET Core. So let me know if anyone knows if that's possible to use in .NET Core now. But as far as I'm aware, it's not. So that's why we took that approach. Okay. So let's see. The other pull request that I wanted to show you guys, there's one more, and then we will start finishing up our quote command. The last piece we did here, I changed the name of our follows command. So we had this follows command that we were really using as a shoutout command. So I renamed it. The couple of other things I did that I want to point out, we used to be initializing this and calling constructor and passing in the values like that it responds to SO and that it requires moderator access. For now, I just hard-coded all that right into our shoutout command. We may adjust down the road so that that works a little bit differently, but that's how we pulled it in for now. Because the shoutout command is a specific command that's going to exist, and if it does get configured, it's probably going to end up being just these features might get tweaked a little bit. You might want to change what you do to trigger it, but it's not really changing the fact that we are going to have a shoutout command available. Even if someone turns it off, the feature and functionality should exist within the system. So that's how we set that up. The other thing I did as part of this, while renaming it, I noticed that I was creating a new random object, which is perfectly fine to do to create a new random when you do that, because we're not really doing... there's not really any value to someone gaming our random, so it doesn't matter how random it really is. This isn't like we're writing a system for gambling or something like that. We're not even making a game. So being able to circumvent how random works isn't that significant to us. But either way, I still did set it up. There are a few ways to do this, but I set up a static class because it's the simplest one to understand. Now, someone could make a case for making a threaded version where we do have an instance of random per thread, but this is how I wanted to set it up. So Sven, I'm actually not sure what it's going to do on that one. It will attempt to, so the question you're asking there is basically, if we attempt to overflow the integer, is it going to work? And I don't remember what int.parse does if you pass it a number that's too large for it to turn into an integer. But my guess is that we're going to treat it as a not as not an integer, and it's going to fail for that reason. And I apologize, guys. I just realized that that I don't have music playing for you. So let me go ahead and get that started. There we go. There's some background music that we can listen to while we're working on this. And welcome, B.G. Magar. I apologize if I horribly butchered that, but welcome. Thank you for following. And you'll notice the bot actually welcomed you before I did. And that's even on my side. That's not just a stream delay. So the bot was nice and quick, noticed what was going on, and chimed in there quickly. Okay, so essentially what I did is the first time that my random is called, because this is static, is going to create this new random for us. This is just our internal random that we're then going to call internally. Now we put a lock around it just to keep us thread safe here. We don't really need it because, again, as I said, we're not really caring about the security of our random number generation because we're just doing this for randomly selecting from a list for things like a shoutout for now. Eventually we might care more. But I wanted to get to this because we're going to need it for one of the... we're going to be using random again when we do our rock, paper, scissors feature, which is the one we're going to do right after quoting. So that is that pull request. I think I mentioned I got rid of it from the data, so we're no longer creating follow commands. We're now just creating a single shoutout command that we're putting directly onto our list of commands. I expect at some point that'll probably be configured and someone will be able to turn on and off the shoutout command, but that's essentially what this feature is going to boil down to anyway. So there we go. Oh hey, and the bot just responded in with its interval message at 15 minutes, which nicely means that I didn't break it. I don't think. Okay, so I set us up on a new branch for quote adding, so that feature can get started. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. So quote adding, so we're going to go to the quote add command that we created. So this is just a stub placeholder we created at the end of the last stream because we knew we were going to get to this. And so if we go ahead and attempt that command, we should get this response because the bot is running. So I'm going to go ahead and message that in. So there's the response. You're trying to add a quote, but that feature isn't supported yet. This is restricted to mods only, so I can do it, and a couple of other people can do it. But most of you won't actually be able to test that one, which is fine. We may loosen up quote adding to be able to be done by subscribers at some point, but for now I think this is a good set. And if someone else wants to try doing quote add in the chat, you'll see that you should get a message saying that you don't have permission to run quote add. And while we wait for someone to try that, I will continue on. So when we call process for this, we get the triggering client, which is what allows us to respond back, so we know which chat client they contacted us on. In this case, we're only connected to Twitch, but we are set up to be able to connect to Discord later. And we are going to get to that sometime soon. We just need to look into Discord libraries and figure out which one we want to use. Some people were bringing them up yesterday, and we'll see what's available. So the first thing that I want to do is take a look at whether or not we got a first argument. So we talked last time about what we wanted to pass to this, and we're thinking that we want to add in some kind of second argument. Now I want to see what the arguments actually come in as if I use string quotes. So I'm not sure how TwitchLib works, but I'll show you what I am thinking. Thank you, Janisku, for giving that a shot. Let me show you what I want to test. Yep, thank you, Janisku. So that is the test I want to do, and the way we're going to do it is let's see. I'll do a quick how do we want to do this? Triggering client message. You were trying to add let's see. You were trying to add a quote using. So I want to find out how many arguments were actually in here. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. So I'm going to turn the bot off for a second, guys, so sorry about that. The bot has left the building, but I'm going to restart it, and we'll take a look, because I want to find out how many that is. So the bot is back. Okay, so what that tells me is that TwitchLib is recognizing the quotes as all being one argument. So that means I can grab argument 1 and use just that piece. So that's how we send in an argument and have it do the quotes. So I'm glad we don't have to figure that out ourselves. Otherwise, we were going to be looking for quotes and finding what the argument was. So I'm glad someone did that work for us, because that'll save us, you know, some painful code. So I'm expecting that arguments will always be there, but just as a safety, I'm going to use null propagation to make sure that we don't run into a problem. So we're going to do a first or default on this and grab argument 1. So I'm going to call that argument 1. And actually, I don't like the name argument 1 for now, but that's fine. You are trying to add, let's see, I'm going to print out the information to begin with so we can use it, because I think it'll be useful to see what we're doing. As a quote by, and we'll call this argument 2. So second or default. What, I could skip one and then take one? That gets me the second, right? Let's see. Or I could just grab the first one. That does it also. Now I just need safeties on those. Anybody know if take one works when it's empty? I don't remember how that one does it, to be honest. But I'm gonna write a unit test and find out, because that's how we do things here. We are inside of the add quote command, so I'm gonna make a folder because we are gonna test this anyway. So we're gonna make add quote command tests. And then inside of here, we're going to make a class called process should. So we're going to have a lot of process shoulds in here, which is an inconvenience of our testing name, but it does make for a nice structure anyway. Whoops. That's my old NUnit self coming out there, guys. For those of you that don't know, we are running XUnit in this project, which is common for .NET Core. So if you are new to .NET Core but from a .NET background, while MS Test is still the out-of-the-box chosen default, the second option that is made available to you by default is actually XUnit. So unlike in .NET, where if you weren't using MS Test, you would use NUnit, we now use XUnit as the non-MS Test choice. And that, I think, just stems from the fact that the .NET Core team used it a lot internally. But I could be wrong there. That's the only thing I know about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an empty list of string and find out what happens. What's complicated, Wheelspin? So what I want to find out is skip one, and I'm going to do a take one and find out what happens. Well, I'll give you that. There are a lot of complicated things in all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a single item in this list, and I'm going to attempt to take the second item. Now, I know that that's going to fail. Or at least it should fail, but I want to see how it fails. Single or default of string. So let's take a look and see how this fails. I'm going to run all the tests in the project since I haven't run them all yet today. And this is going to get us back the test failures. If I am doing something that that is complicated or you're not sure about, Wheelspin, do just shout out and let me know. And I can explain anything we're doing. Whoops, I left that previous code we were working on not building, I think, didn't I? Maybe I just needed to do a full build. What did I leave this with? That should work. Let's try running all those tests again. Oh, right, because I hadn't closed down the program yet. That's why it failed to build. Okay. So it looks like that test doesn't actually blow up. So that's kind of cool. So that means that was safe. And I'm going to assert that that is null. Whoops, the string. So I'm going to go ahead and run these again. And I'm expecting this to... well, there you go. So it's null. Cool. So that's exactly what we expected. What happens, though, if we go the other route and we did, instead of getting it this way, we attempt... So here's why I was doing that complexity there. If I do this, we don't have that item. Even if I do a question mark that, it should fail. Because it doesn't really know what to do. I guess what I could do is I could do an @index index or defaults. Element or default. That's the one I wanted. I didn't remember what it was. Okay, so element @index 1 or default is the one we want. So that is an easier way of writing the take and skip, which it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to do it in a little simpler way. So I believe that passed again. Let's go ahead and make it fail. Not null. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think it might have just reloaded. I'm not... Okay, there we go. So now it failed, so that confirms for us that this code really is working. And we just wanted to do that just to confirm what we were thinking on this. So we're going to go ahead and grab the first item this way. So we're going to do a .element @, and that is going to be why did it not link me that thing? Do I need generic collections for that? Oh, arguments. I am crazy sometimes, guys. So Willspin, so I know how to program Arduinos with some very basic C. Now I want to make an interactive game on Twitch, but that would require to make a bot that could read chat and fetch viewers' answers. Turns out it's a lot harder than... Oh, yes. Wheelspin, that is correct. So that's actually sort of what we're doing right now. We're not going to do quiz game, but we are going to let people play a game of rock, paper, scissors against the bot. And the winners will get tokens, and the losers will lose tokens, and anybody that ties the bot is just going to have no change to their tokens. Okay, so we're going to do element at that, and we'll do the same thing for the one above it. So we're going to do 0 and 1. Now I could do a first and then do this, but I like that both are taking the same approach to this problem, so they look the same. So argument 1, I don't like the name argument 1, so this is going to be the quote text, and then this is going to be the quote author. So you are trying to add that and that. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and it'll connect, and we're going to go ahead and call the quote add again. And we're going to say, actually, where did I type it? Right there. The quote add is this multiple arguments, and we're going to say that I am the one that set it. So you are trying to add, is this multiple arguments, as a quote by Brandonius. Cool. That was perfect. That was exactly what we wanted to have come out. That is really fantastic. So that is what we wanted. So fun. Hey, Wheelspin, thanks for following. Hopefully you get some useful info from this. Hey, Lumen, welcome. Alright, so that gets us that. So I'm going to make a new quote entity from this. And the quote entity that we're going to create is going to be added by the event args chat user dot display name. The date added is going to be right now, and I don't think I have to set that. I'm pretty sure that I had that automatically put in there. And see, Wheelspin there, the bot welcomed you as well, so good thing it was turned on. Text is going to be assigned to the quote text. The author is going to be assigned to the quote author value. Alright, so let's take a look here. It's saying that that could potentially be null, but I really don't think it can be, but that's fine. We'll check it anyway. So we're going to put the null safeties on there, so that's null propagation. I mentioned it once before. It's using a null conditional in order to perform null propagation, which basically means that if event args is null, we're going to treat everything to the right of that question mark as the default null value as well. And again, if chat users is null, then we're going to treat this side as null as well, because display name is a string, and so its default value is null. So that should work fine. So that'll be our quote entity, and then what we want to do is go to our repository. We are going to create our quote entity that we're adding in, and at this point we need to decide whether or not we want to set that ID number based on a rule in Entity Framework, or whether we want to do it here. Now I'm leaning towards having Entity Framework do this. Well, I don't know whether or not you're a developer there, Wheelspin, but I don't think Lumen has any experience programming. I could be wrong though. So let's go ahead and see if we can't adjust Entity Framework to do this the way we want it to. So what kind of code are you used to, Wheelspin? Are you a C developer? Or have you used C# much before? So I'm just going to pull the bot out, and we're going to bring it back in again and see if it can't add an item. Now it's going to add this as a 0 because I didn't specify the ID. Okay, so yeah, so C#, it's clearly C-based, so you can probably see where it's coming from. But there are definitely some differences. Okay, so I didn't get an error message, so I think it worked. So let's go ahead and try quote 0. Hey, okay, so it went in there. The date didn't assign, which tells me that I didn't do the thing that I thought we'd done, which was to set date added by default equal to datetime.now. So we're going to go ahead and always initialize that by default, so no one actually has to set it. The other thing is that our quote ID did not get set. So I mentioned that that was going to be the case. What we need to do to make that work is to go over into our library that has our connection to Entity Framework and make some changes here. So as a quick thing, Wheelspin, everything in C# is going to be class-based. So everything we're in is always a class. There is no not being in a class. Even our main method is inside of a program class. So that's one of the differences you'll notice. And all of our methods always get decorated with their access modifiers as well. So there are a number of other things. We also don't ever deal with assignment of memory. Our generics work a little bit differently than your templates. Fundamentally, they serve the same purpose for the developer, but they're implemented a little differently. So you'll notice all kinds of differences like those as you dig into this stuff. Setting up EF core identity column. I can never remember what the actual setting is for this thing, so I'm going to Google it really quickly. So I want to do value generation patterns in EF. Data annotations, nope. Database generated. Oh, I could use data annotation on it, but I don't think I want to do that. Here we go, model builder. Okay, so let's go ahead and, is it an override? I think it's on model creating is what I want to override. Yep. Model builder dot. All right, we don't want that one. We want insert a blog ID. There we go. Value generated on add. Oh, wait. No value generation. Value generated never. Value generated on add. There we go. That's the one I want. Okay, so we're not really doing blog. Ours is going to be quote entity. And what we want to do is not set inserted. We want to set the quote ID. And I think that it will automatically figure out that we want to do that as an integer. Value generation and value generation and yeah, I think that'll do what we want. I think that'll get it for us. Yeah. All I ever do is create variables. Yeah, so this is a lot of what we're doing. We just have it broken apart into different things. So this is our data access connection here, which a lot of this is actually done for us through a library that we're using to access the data. So the goal here is to make it so that when we insert into our database, we automatically set the quote ID to the next highest value from what is in the database. So that is the goal there. I think I put in the right value, but we're about to find out when I test this. Now, the weird trick is that we're not really using a database, and I'm not going to get into that because that will get confusing. I don't really... so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this after the creation, and the reason I'm going to do this is this should be the updated entity. So this one should have the value in it. So you are trying to add quoted text as a quote by that. Oh, actually I'm going to put that first. And then I'm going to send another message afterwards, actually. And what Sven said is fairly correct, Wheelspin. One of the best approaches that I can give to anybody that is looking to do any kind of language development for anything, whether it's just, learning C# or really anything else for that matter, is just go ahead and start writing code with it and see what you get. Yeah, see, Wheelspin? The quote command works for you perfectly. Created quote number, and we're going to say entity dot quote ID. Okay, so now that that's been updated with that part, let's go ahead. We're going to turn off the bot again. So sorry guys, bot's turning off again. I think that'll work. We're about to find out. If it does, we're going to commit this. We're going to move on to our rock, paper, scissors, which is the piece that we wanted to do in this. So that should do a random one. And we're going to do quote add, and actually I'm going to steal that. I'm just going to copy paste my previous message. Created quote 0. Dang it! Alright, so it didn't get it. Which I think means if I run this, yeah, it found it as 0 again. We did set the date now, though. Okay, so let's take a look. We clearly missed something in EF. Was this not EF? This is EF core. Alright, let's value generated. So we did value generated on add. What were the other options? Value generated on add or updated. Value generated on add. We can't pass a parameter to it. There's not an identity for it. It's required as row version used property access. EF core. I'm gonna search more for this. Identity column. Now the trick is that I don't want this to be the primary key. We're not dropping frames, are we? I hope we're not dropping frames, guys. Value generated on add. Save. Value replaced by the database during value during a save changes operation. If you add an entity to the context that has a value assigned, the property will attempt to insert the value rather than a property is considered to have a value assigned if it is not assigned to the default. Yeah, so values generated on add or update. Yeah, so I want to do essentially row version. for our ID. Database generated option none. Values generated on add. Wait, I already looked at that. Value generated on add using data annotations. That's not the one we want. So we don't want to use data annotations, and I'll tell you why later. Okay, so property, quote ID, value generated on add. On add or update, we don't want that. We're not doing that one. If you specify a value for the property on a newly instance of the entity, the value will be inserted rather than be... Yeah, okay. Inserted blog ID from inserted DBO blogs last updated get date blog ID equals ID, so ID would be the blog ID. That should work. Why isn't that working? Property for sequence. Well, if we can do this, that would be useful, but I'm not sure we can do it. This looks like it's an extension method from something. Because that's probably not .NET Core. Yeah, that's EF7. We need .NET Core. Sven, I am looking for how to set it so that this automatically gets set to the row count using EF Core, and I thought it was going to be value generated on add for this. So I was pretty sure that's what we needed in EF Core. Maybe you remember. Let's see. So doing that, print date, property created, datetime. Yeah. It might be because we're doing an in-memory database, and maybe in-memory database doesn't have that. I just read the heading of this. Improve in-memory key generation. To recreate in-memory results, to be the test the same. Okay. The in-memory provider doesn't provide, provider doesn't do the entity header, we get relation. When a column is, it uses the values from the single generator for all tables. This raises one of the important design principles of in-memory provider. Yeah, okay, so it looks like we're actually doing all of the code correctly, but the in-memory option in Entity Framework does not actually support this right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of force it in ourselves. That sucks. Sorry about that, guys, but looks like there is a bug in Entity Framework Core, which is our database provider. So thank you, Entity Framework, for not helping us with that. So we don't want to do it at this level, so we're going to have to do something that we don't want to do, which sucks. Yeah, so we're not actually using it for the ID, Sven. So there is actually a generated GUID that is the ID in the background, and you're not actually seeing that. So there's a primary key that's a GUID that we'll use for any foreign keys that we set up. However, in order for easy access, we want someone to just be able to type in, quote 3, and, come back with a quote. Clearly no one wants to type a GUID in there. So... So we're gonna have to get away, do something horrible and get that to work. So what I'm gonna do is something horrible that will be less horrible than you think it is. So quote entity policy all. Yeah, that's right, I did it. And this is going to be less bad than you think in the long run, for two reasons. First off, right now it's an in-memory database, and second, we're going to wrap this in caching. And, oh, we're going to immediately nuke the cache after we do this. Wow, yeah, that sucks. I guess it only works if we've done it once before. Yeah, it's not pretty. But as soon as we have a real database, this hack will go away. So remove this, replace with, what were we trying to use? We were trying to use value generated on add. So we're going to say replace with that in EF core. So we're going to put this in here, but we're going to say that after removing in memory database. So let's hope that they fix the in-memory database just for future things for anybody else that does this. Won't help us. Please don't kill me, guys. Please don't kill me. And yes, I am aware of the fact that we do want to be thread safe, because right now it's not. So if two people put this in at the same time, yeah, basically ring is in to do make better. Yes, that is essentially what we're putting in here. But part of that's just because we want to do it right, but until we complete a whole new feature, we can't do it right. So I'm putting that in there for now. Yeah, I'll add a GitHub issue for it, but I believe there's a GitHub issue to get us a new database, so I will, it will depend on that one then. So we'll add a little marker on that one that it depends on the other one. Okay, so created that quote, put in the ID. I'm going to go ahead and stop the bot, so sorry guys, you're about to lose those commands for a second. And we're going to go ahead and start it again and hope it works. Yeah, so it does work a little bit, Chiniscu. So I can call quote and it gives me back a quote, and I can say quote add. Where is my text that I've been adding? So there we go. So I'm going to add that new quote and quote created quote number 2. So quote 2, that's not good. I need to +1 that. That was a failure. Stop. Exit. Rip. Derp. Derp. Okay. Count +1, because we don't start at 0. Alright guys, bot's back in. Let's add that quote again. That is quote number 3. So there we go. And we're gonna make derp be that one. Quote 4, derp. Alright, looks like it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that bot running now. Let's get this checked in, guys. So let me go ahead and toss this on screen. And for anybody that does wonder, no, I don't normally use GitHub Desktop as my primary thing, but I like that I can restrict it to just showing relevant to dev chatter repositories here. So those are the only GitHub repositories we're looking at. Okay, so setting the default value for add, that's a nothing change, so I'm not even going to check it in so there's no confusion, even though it is just white space. That is a test we're not actually going to commit. So I'm going to uncheck that for now because we are going to add that test. And then this should be wiring this up. I'm no longer going to have this here. So I don't want to say, hey, you're trying to add this anymore. I now think we just want to say you created this one. So created quote number that. That way, when you add one, you do immediately get to know what the ID is, so you could immediately ask for it if you like. So that seems useful. And we are still using this updated entity for that, because once the hack is done and we've put in the correct stuff, we can make that right. So let's go ahead and commit this then. So we've got those pieces, we replace with that, we're mentioning this a hack. Quote text, quote author, I like those titles. That's not bad. Alright, so allowing, quote, adding. Okay. So, there we go. We're going to go ahead and do that. Make sure that's all working nicely. So, we need to add some tests around this really quickly. And actually, you know what? I'm going to stash that for now and take care of that another time. So, I'm going to add these off the stream so that we can get started on the more fun thing of taking a look at the rock, paper, scissors feature that we wanted to put in. So let's go ahead and push this up to origin. And I'm going to send in a pull request on it, and we're going to branch off of this one, expecting that that pull request is going to get sent in. I know the guy that approves the pull request for this open source library. For anybody that doesn't know and wants to check it out, you can take a look at our GitHub right there. We have a few people that have contributed to our projects on here. So thank you to anybody that has done that. So going to go ahead and send that one in, and actually I am going to mention in this that this resolves number allowing quote adding. Wait, what? No. Number 6. Dick. Not sure why it was giving me trouble referencing that there. I've got some confusing names probably is the issue. There we go. Okay. So that will complete that one. And let's go ahead and take a look. See back here. Actually, I'm going to merge this in. I think it's safe. So we'll go ahead and merge that. And delete the branch. And actually, if you're still here, Wheel Spin, I should mention that if you take a look at some of our old videos, you will see more stuff on how to connect to Twitch, because we did some of that in some of our earlier videos. I'm not sure how far back you have to go, but we do have some videos where we were doing the beginning connections to Twitch, so I would take a look at that if you are interested. And if anybody else wants to see any other commands that are available to us, I will put a few of them on screen so you can see what they are. We have commands for asking for our Discord. You can do a lurk command, and a couple of other things you can do as well. But the other thing, you can also trigger through a follow or a subscribe. So if you click the follow button, that's somewhere, depending on whether you're in an app or the browser, the bot will respond to you, and it will welcome you to the chat. So that is actually from this bot, not from any other bot. So what we wanted to work on today is making a new concept called rock, paper, scissors. That command should be a fun one. We mention it in our issues list. it is right here. But I'm going to open this up. So our quoting system, I said that it depends on having a database, but it doesn't technically. So I'm going to close that one down. But we do still want to get that. So, yep, see, Janiscu tested out Discord there, and it posts a link to our Discord. So if you do want to join any conversations that we have after the stream, they're not common, so it won't get super annoying, but if you do want to talk to other people who are fans of the same things, you can join the Discord and talk to any of us. So, rock, paper, scissors game. So, this requires having some kind of tokens, but I think we can start writing it before we have those. So, I'm going to call this the RPS command, maybe? Rock, paper, scissors command. And it's not going to like the name that I did there, and I'm debating whether or not I should change it. Rock, paper, scissors, command. That just seems so long. But I'll do it. So we will do a simple command. Yeah, I could RPS command LNG grinds. I know. The reps command. The thing I know we're going to need to pass into this. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with this one. If it gets too ugly, we'll shorten. So if it gets too, it probably will get too ugly, but we'll shorten when it. Oh yeah, we could full name in a comment or something like that, but we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get. Okay, so the rock paper scissors command we know is going to need to get a list of iChat clients. So these are the chat clients. The other things it's going to need. Wow, did I really typo that? That's amazing. I typoed it and I even put it in my own thing. Oh, it's getting fixed here. That's hilarious. That's embarrassing. Interestingly, I have actually put a little bit of time into the docs LNG grinds, but I do need to put in some more. The challenge with that one is the docs are important, but not something people want to watch on stream, which means I gotta find off-stream time to update the documentation. Yep, that is true, Aaron. Ring is in. We can get some nice autocomplete on that name still. So triggering chat client. Okay. So how did Simple Command get its chat clients out of curiosity? It just gets it passed. Never mind. It doesn't take them in. Alright. We won't get it because it just comes in through process. So what we're going to pass in as our command is RPS is our standard command to call this. And it's not going to have a static response. So I'm actually not going to call the base constructor. I'm just going to set the properties here. So the command text is going to be RPS, and we are going to do RPS, so I guess we're stuck with that one a little bit. And yes, Ring is in. Naming things is very hard, which is why I like having refactoring tools that can help us to make changes if we notice that there is something that needs changing. We're going to allow everyone, actually, to call this. Data item status, it'll be active by default, command text, role required, and ID. We don't need any of those. Okay, so that's what we're going to set. follower service we don't need, but we might need something else. We're going to use our random. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test it out with a basic response. So it's just going to talk to us and acknowledge that we called it. This is just going to be so that we know that we wired up our rock, paper, scissors command correctly. Always a good idea to make sure your code does anything at all. So we're just going to respond back with this is rock, paper, scissors when someone calls this. So let's wire this up. So in order for this to actually get called anywhere, when we set up our bot, we need to add in rock, paper, scissors. We are eventually going to need a repository, I realize, so I'm just going to pass it in now, because I know we're going to need it, because we're going to need to store in the database how many tokens any given user has. So that way we know that, you know, Ringazin has 50 tokens available, so when he risks 5 playing rock, paper, scissors, then we know that that was both possible and that he'll either gain or lose those. Okay, so let's stop the bot. So we're going to go ahead and stop the bot for now. And he's going to say bye to everybody. We're going to bring him back in again. And we'll see if we wired him up right. So the bot is back in here. And we're going to say RPS. This is rock, paper, scissors. Cool. Alright, so the bot does now have rock, paper, scissors mode. So what we need to figure out is if we're in the middle of a rock, paper, scissors game. So what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm actually just going to make a bool and say, is game active? And yes, I am going to statically set that to false, and we're going to give that the correct name. There we go. So we are going to say if the game is active. If the game is not active, we're going to start a game. So we don't currently have any kind of cooldowns of anything like that, so we're going to eventually need to add it, but we don't have them. So we're going to do that. So there we go. So is game active? Then we're going to turn it on. So, and we're going to send back a message to everyone. We're going to say so first off, we're going to use string interpolation here. We're going to say eventargs.chatUser.displayName. So we're going to go ahead and say that the person that's in here wants to play rock, paper, scissors. To join, simply type RPS to join. Alright, to join, simply type RPS in chat. Okay, I think that is probably what we want to do. And this should trigger some kind of a waiting period. And then what we'll do is we'll say, so this, we could just return right there. And then down here, we could say, oh, we need to add them to the, so we'll add them to a list of competitors. toString competitor list. So we're going to make a new list of string for our competitors. And when we're going to assume that the list is empty. We're just going to add the current user. A username. So I'm going to put this up top because we need it. We need their username no matter what. So whether they're joining an existing game or starting up a new one. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if competitors, if there's no one in the competitor list, then we're starting a new game and we're going to add them in. So instead of even using the Boolean, we're just going to base it on whether or not our list is empty. So yeah, we're going to return there. Actually, if we do it as an else, then we don't have to return. Then what we're going to say is, otherwise, we are going to add them to the list. Now, this is clearly going to need to change because we're going to have to lock around this because we don't want to have this get called multiple times because that could get messy. Competitors add username. And then we're going to go ahead and say, triggering client, send message, username, joined in the rock, paper, scissors game. Alright. That is clearly not anywhere near being done, but I think we have enough there to go ahead and try this and see what happens. So clearly we're going to add duplicates. I know there's all these problems. Don't worry about that yet. We're just running it because we like to see that our code works at all. So someone go ahead and join in the rock, paper, scissors game, and we'll see what we get. Alright, thank you, Ring is in and Sven. So it's adding you guys to the list, I assume. Not that we know yet, but thank you, Craigsify? Apologize if I messed that up, but we're going to go ahead and shut down the bot here for a second. I guess I didn't have to shut down the bot. What am I? Yeah, here. We'll turn the bot back on. Sorry about that, guys. Bot's back on. So what we can do here is we now need to say, since we started, we need to do some kind of either command to finish it, and just say, you know, start the game, something like that. Or what we could do is we could actually just have a timed delay in here where it triggers automatically. Welcome, MT Lich. Thank you for following. So Mount Lich, MT Lich, something like that. So we've got a couple of routes. I'm not sure what you guys think on that one. Do you think we should put some kind of timed delay in here? Should we have a command to start the game? Because we could do an alternate command that just starts the game as a way to do it. That could be a triggered event. Like maybe we do something where we check the argument and we say, you know, if event args arguments, and we say element adder default 0, equals start. Go ahead and put that there. Then So if we do that, and we say, and username equals competitors first or default, might be a way to handle that. So we'll say if the first person said start, then if whoever started the game says to start it, that could trigger it. That'd be another way. And then we could just do the game here. And we're going to pull some of this stuff out into methods in a bit, but we're just kind of fleshing out what we think this should do. Why don't we go ahead and say it was a grueling match, but Brendan won, whether he was in the game or not. He clearly cheated. All right. I like how that bot works. You guys like how that bot works, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull the bot out of there. The next thing that we need to do is, after that, we have to do competitors.clear. So that ought to empty out our collection and allow us to start a new game. So let's go ahead and try this. So I am going to RPS. Someone want to hop in the game with me? And we'll go ahead and add some names to the list. So there we go. Welcome. Now we're going to do an RPS start. And then hopefully the next person who tries to join actually just creates an... Oh, whoops. I did not exit us out of that. Why don't we do that? Foolish me. So that's funny. It started a new one as I did that. That's kind of hilarious. Whoops. And that's why we test stuff. Alright, let's try that again, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and do another RPS. And if you guys hop in, then we'll go ahead and give that a shot. So now it should end it, and the next person to do an RPS should be able to start one, because it should have cleared our names out. So someone go ahead and start a game of rock, paper, scissors. So, alright, so Craig's did it, and if I try to do an RPS start, you'll notice that I join the game. I can't start it. But now, Craigsify, why don't you do an RPS start, and we'll see if you can end the game. Or I should say start the match. Start the rock, paper, scissors match. Yeah, is it a match or a game? I guess it's a match. Yep, there we go. So Craigsify was the only one that could do it. So, see? There you go. So it looks like our bot is working as expected. Alright, so this is where we need to play the game. Play the match. So we're going to do that. So we're going to make a method called play the match. And play the match is going to reset at the end. And we are going to pass the triggering client in to play the match so it can spit back the results. This is starting a new game. So let's go ahead and create a method called start new match. And this one is going to be a method called join match. Join match, start new match, play match. We're going to get rid of the. Alright, so I think that makes sense. So now I'm actually just going to change this message to be the match starts but ends without a victor. Alright, so we don't know who the victor is. I'm going to go ahead and do that for now. In TwitchCon, the not in show was used as extension game. Not sure what you're talking about, Janiscu. Did they do some kind of a an extension game during TwitchCon this year. I didn't catch much of TwitchCon 2017. Oh, did they do? That's kind of funny. Yeah, the thing that made me think of this is actually something that Microsoft did a long time ago when they were first setting up Azure to get developers used to setting things up in Azure. They did a competition called Rock Paper Azure where you essentially just wrote a bot that tried to win an unbalanced game of rock, paper, scissors where they added in explosives and bombs. Explosives and water balloons. So basically, you could beat every other option by using a bomb except for the water balloon. But the water balloon would lose to everything except the bomb. So it was basically a game of trying to predict when the opponent would use their bombs. And some of it was, it's something that could probably be won very easily with some machine learning. That could be pretty fun, Janiscu, especially if it were an on-screen idea there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say myRandom.random number, and our options are going to be rock, paper, and scissors. Which actually I need to make the players choose their rock, paper, or scissors. So we're gonna grab the first parameter. So this is argument 1, string argument 1, which might be start. If it's not, argument 1, then we want to do an else. And I'm actually going to put this else, I'm going to wrap this like so. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to get the random selection of either rock, paper, or scissors from them. So let's make a quick enum for this. So we are going to make a public enum, and we're going to call it how about rock, paper, scissors, which is a hilarious name for the enum because my choices are going to be rock, paper, and scissors. So you're gonna have like rock, paper, scissors, rock, rock, paper, scissors, scissors. It's totally not gonna be weird to say. Luckily it's in code, so no one actually has to say it. So let's do, what is it? Is an enum.parse? Yeah, enum, let's do an enum.tryparse. And argument 1 is the value. Oh, yeah, we're going to ignore case. That seems like a good idea. Out enum result. So we're going to do, the enum that we know it's going to be is, rock, paper, scissors. Choice. Alright. So, whoops. We're going to say if. No. Quit typing those things. So if we get down here, we're going to say message please make a valid selection. Username. Actually, why don't we say from this set, and we're gonna say string.join. Actually, that's gonna get weird. So we're gonna say And please don't kill me, guys. Please don't kill me. Twitch Extensions Workshop. Yesterday stream had talk about it and what is happening this week on the Stream On Challenge as Pixel Hunt extension. Interesting. Considering matching on only the first letter in case of mistyping. Ooh, that is a good idea, Kragsophy. Which, really, you need to tell me how to pronounce that so I don't keep messing it up. And then this is a rock, paper, scissors item. And someone is going to kill me in a moment for doing this. You guys saw me do, Kragsify? Kragsify? I guess I'll go with Kragsify then, which looks like what that latter one is. Because I think I can do that one. But if I'm still messing it up, then just yell at me, because I'm apparently failing at words. Operator equal cannot be applied to string and string that. Oh, right. So the problem is it's item 1, and I don't want that to be item 1. That's a terrible name. I forget how to tell it the name at that point. Let's see, C#, 7, enum, implicit. Hey, thank you for the subscription. Much appreciated. Enjoy your emotes. You get to spam those in chat now. The hype emote. So, welcome, welcome. So, 7 point, what was it, 7.2? I think is the one that has it. Might have been 7.1. I'm always forgetting which one's in each of those. I have to go back and look all the time. So inferred, right, not enum, tuple name. Misspeaking. Okay, so if I create a new one of these, put it in like this. So here's what we're going to do when we add the user to this. We're going to set it up like that. Can I not put them in like this? We might not be able to get away with it. Yep, there's that emote. I'm a big fan of our emote. I actually like it a lot. I hope you guys like our emote too. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So it's string, and this is username. And that's rock, paper, scissors, and the value is choice. There we go. Alright, cool. Fixed. So, yeah, they still allow item 1 to work, but username should now work also. So, username. And then on this one, instead of choice, Suzuna, it should be something like string. Yeah. See, the funny thing is, Suzuna, that I actually used to give presentations where I specifically did this. So it's really bad that I forgot that. I do actually like the... because of how nice that piece is, that's why I'm willing to use enums in C#, whereas I don't in a lot of other places. Are you limited to 10 characters for the emote name? I feel dev chat hype. So you're totally right, Kragsify. It would be nice if I could get that. As an affiliate, I actually don't get control of that name, so I'm actually really happy it turned out as nice as it did. Partners get to adjust their names, so I might try that at some point, adjusting if we ever do get partner. So they assigned me the devcha, so that's actually the prefix they gave to me. I know some other people that ended up with numbers in theirs, so I'm just happy that they didn't do like dev7 or something like that, which would be really annoying to have picked up a number. Yep, Janiscu wants to play rock, paper, scissors, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this, and then we're going to go ahead and put in their choice, which for now I'm just going to hard code. Because we have compiler errors, and I'm going to extract that as a parameter and put it in the right place. So we add them in that case, and then I'm going to comment that out for now just so that we're not blowing up. So we're not actually making the choice yet. This is their choice. Which actually, why aren't I passing this in as an enum? Why isn't this just coming in as an enum? We're gonna call that a user choice. So user choice dot username. Yep. Are you kidding me? Item 1. No. That's username. And the nice part is I don't actually have to define it for the second one, which is also another cool piece there. Yeah, I haven't given us the ability to make that choice yet, really, Janiscu. But give me a second and we will. So let's go ahead and yank this one out as a parameter, and we're going to call this one also user choice. We're going to get rid of username on this one as well. And we're going to do that by just making that username. Okay, so now we have user choice dot username. Yeah, only the creator of that match is able to start it right now. Okay, so we're passing that in. That's the user choice. That's the triggering client. And actually, I'm going to shorten that name, despite the fact that I'm using it everywhere. Chat client's a little shorter. I'll call that chat client everywhere. Where does it want to change that? And all those other ones. Whew. I'm going to skip those for now. Alright. So we need to remove username as a parameter. We're going to remove these extra parameters as well. So now we're just passing in username and choice, username, choice. And choice is going to get set by the actual player. So that's this one. So whatever one they picked is going to get passed in. We're going to just store that with... so we're going to print out what you chose. Item 2. Because I didn't call it anything choice. So that'll be choice. And then down here, wants to play rock, paper, scissors, and then actually what I should do is call join match immediately after. So I'm actually going to have that first person join their own match. Chat client, and we're going to pass in their full user choice. So we're going to announce that they're in here, and then we're going to have it make them join. And I have mentioned, for those of you that know, we are going to need to lock this. I'm aware of the fact that right now we do have some problems with the fact that we could potentially get multiple games starting at the same time. Don't worry about that. We'll fix it later. We're just piecing together these bits for now. Okay, so you know, we really need a convenient enum select using random in here. Hey, thank you for the reminder, DevChatterBot. Very good point. Everyone should make sure that they click that follow button. If you are watching and enjoying any of the stuff we are doing on stream, click the follow button and you will not miss any of our future streams. We are going to make that a method. We're going to say, oops, we don't want that one. We're just going to make a new method. So we're going to call it get random choice. Which actually, now that I think about it, we might allow you to get a random choice if you don't specify whether you want rock, paper, or scissors. That might be how we do it. And that would handle typos, Craigsify. Make random choice is going to get us back a rock, paper, scissors. Bot choice equals that. We are going to make a new method for it. We're going to get our random number, and then we are going to say return random number cast as one of these. And there is our random enum selection. And I realize it would be really easy to make a generic enum selector inside of our myRandom, which maybe we should do. For all enums that work like that, at least. Because you could actually pull a set of them and then, choose based on that, and that'd be probably nicer than what we're doing here, but I'm not terribly worried about it. So our bot choice. So now we want to announce winners. And then the next thing that we want to do is adjust tokens. So announce winners, we'll get the chat client, and adjust tokens. We'll just need the bot choice. So announcing the winners, should be a pretty easy method, assuming that my tools can actually make it. There we go. Chat client bot choice. So what we're going to do is we're going to say competitors where x dot choice Alright, so now how do we determine which one beats which one? There's got to be a simple way of doing this. So we want to announce the winners. So the winners are the ones that are at bot choice as an integer plus 1. So we're going to say I choose bot choice. And then we're going to say the winners are whoops. Okay. So here's where it gets tricky. So I don't want to write complicated code for this. I would like to do this in a simple way. Now I could write a silly little method that just has each one and say this one beats this one beats this one, and do a switch statement or something like that, but I don't really like that. It looks like the answer is we do the choice is an integer plus 1, so essentially it would be bot choice as an int, and right, so plus 1, because rock, so we would want to get to paper from rock, so these are the winning ones. right? And then mod 3, because if we get to scissors, if we go from scissors, we're going to go to 3, so we're going to want to get back down to 0. Yeah, this looks complicated. Hilariously so. And this is going to be rock, paper, scissors. And var winning choice. And yes, I put in a whole bunch of extra parens there just to make sure I didn't screw up order of operations while we do this. Because I know that I can remove any unnecessary parens nice and easily, and my tools will tell me which ones those are. And if we do actually go this route, we will absolutely want this tested, because we're going to pull this out and do a separate rock, paper, scissors library and write some unit tests for it, because that will be much nicer than the stuff we've got here. So var winners list is that, and we are going to select the username off of that, because we just want the string. And then we're going to take our winners list and we are going to say string.join. We're going to pass in a separator of a comma, and then we're going to pass in our winners list, print out the winners, and then after we announce the winners, we're going to adjust the tokens, but we're not going to do that yet because we don't have tokens. Then we're going to clear the list, which is going to restart the game, and we're going to be able to try this. Guys, I think we are ready to try rock, paper, scissors. I'm sure I've screwed something up and we're going to get an exception, but I think it's worth giving it a chance. So let's take a look. Let's see, RPS rock. Alright guys, I apologize, I'm opening a drink because I could use some caffeine. So someone go ahead and join in the game. So I have joined in with rock. Keep in mind that we're not competing against each other, we are just competing against the bot. And we programmed it, it doesn't care that we make our choice first. And if we get someone coming in with scissors, we're guaranteed a winner. A winner every time if you just join with scissors right now. You're guaranteed the win only if the bot doesn't have any bugs or crash or anything like that. One of us is guaranteed to win. You joined twice, you horrible person, you. But good job. I choose paper. The winner is Craigsify. So there you go. Scissors was the correct answer. All someone had to do was join in as scissors. Alright, so we got a couple of things with that one. The first one is, when you join, if you're already in the list, we need to change you. But let's get this committed first, guys. Alright, so first things first. I'm going to go to our setup bot, remove this line, so that I can just fix my shoutout command typo. Fix typo. And yes, that was the easiest way to do that one right now. Alright, there we go. Okay, so adding the start to rock, paper, scissors. There we go. Yeah, so my plan, Janisku, is to have the second, if you do it again, we're going to override your initial choice. So whatever you choose, we're going to set that as the new one. So you can always change if you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, instead of just adding your choice, we're going to make a method that is a safe add. So we're going to extract a method and we're going to call it, no, we don't want to do that because we just need to do it here in join. So if competitors contains essentially you, actually I'm just going to do it out here first. So var existing entry equals competitors dot singular default where x dot username equals user choice dot username. And then if existing entry equals null, else that one. Which then makes me wonder why I'm doing an enum instead of something like a keyed dictionary or something like that. Wait, what? Why is that? Is it? Oh, because that can't be null. Can it? Because it's going to be an empty entry. Yeah, that'd be weird. Okay, so we're just going to change it to a dictionary of string and rock, paper, scissors. Boom! It's dictionary. Take that. Didn't see that one coming, did ya? Did ya? So, username is now key, which, yes, I know key sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so instead of being that, that is the choice. And we're going to say competitor if underscore competitors dot contains key user choice dot username. So if they're already in here, we can set that. But actually, you know what? We're going to assign it either way. So we're going to say underscore competitors and use the key user choice dot username as the key no matter what, and just do an assignment because this is the easy way to do it. User choice dot choice. So we're going to go ahead and set that right in there. And then the reason why we wanted to check and see if it contained the key already is because we want to respond differently if they did. So what we're going to say is if it contains the key, we're going to say changed from let's see, competitors, and then username, from that in the rock, paper, scissors game to that. Join the game with that. Okay, so now we respond based on which one they did. Is that, what is it? Is that really going to do that? Oh my god, is that ugly. Alright guys, so now we are assigning that based on that, and then join match, and I think clear still works on that database. Competitors where that's value equals the winning choice, and then we're going to select key off of it. So yes, you can treat a dictionary as in IEnumerable, and it works just fine. Yeah, alright, we're going to leave that in there for now. Horrible, horrible things, don't kill me, guys, please. I'm not a bad person. I just occasionally do some bad things. I'm going to start up the bot again. So there's the bot. So, RPS. Okay, so I will rock. Alright, so I want to play the game, and I started it with rock. Janisku, if you're here, go ahead and grab scissors. And Craig's, if I want it, or why don't you change? Someone try to change into something. I guess I could change. Change from rock to scissors. Woohoo! Perfect. You changed as well. Let's get a third competitor so we can guarantee that we get something. So we need a paper right now. Don't be afraid to type, guys. Don't be afraid. You can do it. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and start us then. Alright, I choose paper. Hey, hey! Scissors wins. So Dev Chatter wins. And we could adjust that to handle the case where there's only one. Okay, so there was a 2/3 chance of a victory. Okay, so Jester wants to start with that, so let's go ahead and... Ooh, I can join. So now we can play rock, paper, scissors in chat, guys. I'm sure everyone is thrilled at this super advanced thing that we've got here. Well, let's go ahead and get this committed, though. One entry per player. Okay. Alright, so you were the one to start it, Jester, so you got a RPS start when you're ready. It looks like there's 4 of us in here. So just do the RPS start command and it should work. I'm not allowed to start it. I guess I could check to see if it's me and just let me do it. Hey, there we go. Hey, I won again. Okay, that's hilarious. Now it looks like I'm cheating. It's not rigged, I promise. You guys can see the code. Not rigged. Alright, so that works. We need to adjust tokens based on it. Let's see if we can't get this cleaned up, because this is a little messy right now. So we've got our commands in there, but I kind of feel like I want to have a folder for rock, paper, scissors games. Well, actually, let's make a folder for games. Let's make a folder for rock, paper, scissors. We're going to move the rock, paper, scissors command over into it. Yep, we're going to move that over there. We're going to adjust the namespace. Just going to adjust where it's used right here. Now that we're in this folder, I think it makes a lot of sense to pull this out. And I think we can make some classes that are actually related to rock, paper, scissors and understand the idea of playing a rock, paper, scissors game. I love how you guys just keep playing games of rock, paper, scissors in chat. Whew. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna adjust to this. What's going on? Rock, paper, scissors, rock. Rock, paper, scissors. Y2. What do you mean Y2, Janisku? Oh, yeah. I know, right? We need more games. So I'm gonna make this like options or something. I don't know. I might even make them static in here or something like that. I'm not sure yet. Actually, I think we will. Public static. Rock, paper, scissors, rock equals new, rock, paper, scissors. We're going to call that ID, and then we're going to have whew, I'm not sure I can pass that in. We'll see. So we're going to make an auto property, and then we're going to make another auto property, and I'm going to put these after, and someone is going to wonder in a minute what I'm doing because they haven't seen this pattern before. So we're going to make this private. We're going to pass in 1, and we're going to do name of, and then rock. And then we're going to have paper and scissors. I love how it knew what I was typing there. Paper and scissors. We're going to get rid of options. It's no longer valid. So we're getting into a little bit of a weird spot here. So for each one, we want to get what it beats. So public, rock, paper, scissors is beaten by maybe, yeah, maybe loses to. Might be the option. I think that might be the best way to do it. Right? Doesn't seem crazy to me. Doesn't seem crazy. Okay. If I leave those values as 0, 1, and 2, then this works perfectly without needing any changes. So instead of this, we're going to say ID plus 1 and then this is going to get us the ID, and we need to return by ID. Get by ID, whoops, ID, pass in that ID. So we're going to return get by ID. We are going to have a list of rock, paper, scissors, and we're going to call this all. That actually is going to be a property. So we're going to set this equal to a new list, and inside that list we are going to put rock, paper, scissors. We're going to make it static. And tell me if I lose you guys at any point on any of this. singular default where x.id equals id. Okay, so we now have get by ID, which actually should also be public. Get by ID loses 2, so now we can call that and just say loses 2. So bot choice loses 2. Rock, paper, scissors, that's the winning choice. So winning choice is that. And then join the winners. Choose you. We don't need to do that anymore. We can now get by ID. Whoops, I did not make that static. My bad, everybody. Let's make that static. So we're going to say dot get by ID random number. Which actually, now that I think about it, maybe I should put that in there. That should be in here. That's going to be in there. We're going to move it in. That makes way more sense to have random choice of these be in here. So we're going to make a public rock, paper, scissors, get random choice. And then instead of calling that, we're going to say get by ID. There we go. So there is our random choice. There we go. So now we can do that. So now when we say random choice, we're actually just going to do a static call to get random choice. Public static get random choice. Okay. We no longer need to do enum parsing. We can now do get by name. Get by name, string name, name. But we actually want to do a better comparison than that. Do we want to do it that way? X dot name compare to name. No, we can't do it that way. Alright, we're going to do a string compare. Anybody remember the better way of doing this one? So, x dot name, string comparison type. What do we want? I don't remember. Anybody remember which one we want? Equals 0. So there's a string comparison for that. Okay. So now so we did a get by name, and let's do an out rock, paper, scissors. What is this? This is get by name choice. Value? Yeah, value. There we go. Value. Value equals default is our first step. Okay, so we're going to do a default rock, paper, scissors to begin with, and then we are going to assign that equal to that. Actually, because we do allow a null, and then hey, welcome Jeff Widmer, person I've never met before clearly in my life. I have no idea who that guy is. How are you, sir? That was a joke. I know who Jeff Widmer is. Haven't talked to you in a while. So we're going to do that, and we are going to set this up with a output parameter call now. So out here, we're going to, instead of saying enum try parse, we're going to say get by name, and then we're going to pass in argument 1 and our output parameter, and then that should work the same way. And we did this as get by name value is not equal to null is true, so that should work as expected, and I think we are good. Let's give this a shot. We're going to get that piece nicely tested here in a minute. I just wanted to get this done before we ended the stream, just so that we did have this in place with the new code. Let me go ahead and stop the bot. I hope you guys are still here for some testing of this, because I know a handful of you do like playing rock, paper, scissors against a bot. So I have entered the game with paper, and that is a terrible name. Terrible, terrible name. So let's stop that and exit. Where did we print that out? We did choice dot name. That was awful, guys. Did you see that? Did you see what I did there? Choice dot name. Did I print it out anywhere else? Name. Alright, so there's bot's choice, there's our player's choice. We changed from that to that. Wait, changed from that name to that name. Is that name? Okay. I really actually just realized that I didn't need to do all that work I just did, so let me go ahead and undo that, guys. Why didn't someone yell at me before I did that? Hang on, because here's all we have to do. You guys figured out what I should have done, didn't you? Override toString. We're just going to return name for now. Hey, Crimson Green, how's it going? Alright, and then last thing, instead of saying please choose from among the choices, we are going to give you a random one. We're going to say username didn't want to pick, so we assigned randomly. And what we are going to do in that case is we are going to say choice equals rock, paper, scissors, get random choice. So we randomly assigned, and we're going to say choice dot name. Oh, I can just toString that. Come on, Brendan. You just did this. Alright, guys. So here's what we're going to try. Let's try out rock, paper, scissors again. You're working on a Rails app, Crimson. That sounds fun. So So I am not going to pick. I'm just going to say that. Didn't want to pick, so we randomly assigned rock. And I joined a game that hadn't started. Start new match. Whoops. That's weird. That didn't work right, guys. Gonna try it a different way. Whoops. Derp. Fail. Derp. Ah. I messed up. Alright, so first things first, if there aren't any competitors, we need to start a new match, but what we want to do is if there aren't any competitors, start a new match and then join either way. So we're going to join regardless. So I'm going to make it so start new match does not join match afterwards. We're just going to announce that it's a new match. We're not even going to have the method for it. So we're going to say username wants to play a new game. So we're just going to start with that. Not even going to have start a new match. And then what we're going to say is, and that's whether or not they got the value correct or in this. So we're then going to say the reverse of this, I think. So we're going to say if they failed to get one, we are going to give them a random one. So that's where we're going to assign choice randomly. And then we're going to join regardless. We're not going to double else, so we're just going to say didn't pick. So we assign them that one, and then we're going to say they joined with that. Yeah, I definitely messed that one up there, Crimson. And for now, I'm going to ignore the fact that you could change from and to the same item. We won't worry about that. We'll see how much I borked this thing. So we're going to start with rock. Okay. Didn't want to pick, so we assigned him rock. That's funny. See, it did change from rock to rock. Didn't want to pick, so we randomly assigned scissors. Alright, cool. Someone else hop in here. Just, you know, RPS to join the game. There you go. So you've been assigned scissors as well. To improve our chances, I'm going to switch to rock. Stone. Good job, Jester. We randomly assign if you mess that up. Wait, we have someone on scissors, RPS paper. Alright, RPS start. Hey, he chose rock. I win. I swear it's not rigged, guys. I swear it's not rigged. That is hilarious. That's like I win every time. I didn't even build in like a streamer advantage to it. Alright, go ahead and play another game, guys. Let's see if we can make it work. Someone else start this one. So we extracted out a rock, paper, scissors class. That's funny. I'm going to change this branch here in a second. I just noticed which branch I'm on. So let's go ahead and make a new branch. Actually, did we merge that in? I don't remember if we merged in. Do you guys remember if we merged in? I think we did. 2 branches. Two commits ahead, 1 commit behind. Let's take a look at what's in this. This has rock, paper, scissors stuff. So yeah, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to get rid of that one. We're going to rename it. So we are going to call this Benrick rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, I swear it's not rigged. Yeah, there you go, Cragsify. I'll have to add I swear it's not rigged. Alright. We're just going to put it in here for now. I swear it's not rigged. That's fair. I definitely said that. I swear it's not rigged. There we go. And added by Cragsify. There we go. I definitely said that at that time. Oh, yep, I got it. Stream delay. Okay. That'll come in with this. Rock, paper, scissors, create branch off of master, I think. Let's see what it put on this one. Does this have any of the rock, paper, scissors stuff? Nope. Alright. So if we put that one in, it would be from that. So let's go ahead and switch over to quote adding. And then we're going to branch off of this. We're going to call this branch. Rock, paper, scissors. Alright, Benrick RPS game. Okay, adding quote. It's going to come in with that one. Sorry guys, I'm not doing a separate pull request just for that. Games, rock, paper, scissors, there it is. Okay, and I'm going to nuke my extra branch now. Well, I'll nuke it later. Okay, let's take a look over here. RPS game. Let's go ahead and compare, take a look at this. Adding rock, paper, scissors, game. And this needs to reference an issue. That one. This is a start to that. Alright, there it is. There's our rock, paper, scissors game. And we will review this at the start of the next one, I think. So that sounds good. And the bot's running, right? Yeah, it is. So, RPS. Didn't want to choose. So I want to play the game. I didn't want to choose, and then I joined the game with rock. Cool. It does 3 messages if you start it without specifying anything. That's kind of funny, but hey, it works. And that's what matters. So, awesome. So, I guess then we'll talk for a little bit, because I do want to wrap here. So the first thing I wanted to say is I wanted to say thank you to all of the people who followed, subscribed, and chatted, or just sat around lurking and watching. You guys all help make Dev Chatter possible, so thank you. Big shout out to C# Fritz for giving us a host today. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do that in chat. So huge shout out to C# Fritz. So you can go check out his channel there. Again, if you did enjoy anything that we did in the stream, make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button. Not only is it going to trigger the bot and you're going to get to see our code working, and it will welcome you to dev chatter, but it also helps us out, and we'll let you know when we go live, so you won't miss any dev chatter fun. Other things, we are listening to music from Relax Daily. That's what this nice background music is that we've had. Relax Daily has some free music. They've got like a streaming service, and they post a lot of stuff on YouTube as well, so you can check them out. Relaxdaily.net. Other people we need to mention or thank. Also, some of you may have noticed that we do have some emotes that we get to use, so these are usable by anybody that subscribes to the channel. So subscriptions are, I think the tier one's like $5, but if you don't actually want to spend money, most of you don't have to, because almost all of you have Amazon Prime, most likely. I know I do, and what that actually means is that you get a Twitch Prime account for free if you associate your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you can actually use that once a month. They give you a token to subscribe to a channel for free. Doesn't have to be me, could be C# Fritz or any of the other good developer streams that are out there. So pick the one that you like, and make sure you are using it for that. And other than that, we will catch you on our next stream, guys, which is on Thursday. And actually, on Thursdays, we start a couple of hours earlier, so might be useful for some of our people that are further east. But we do like to have our stream shift a little bit through the week, so on Thursdays, we start at around noon my time, and that's noon Eastern time, so that's what... we're in daylight time, so that's like 4 p.m. In UTC. So we will catch you all on Thursday. And until then, keep having an awesome time. You can check out our code at GitHub, which I posted in the chat. And if you do want to keep talking to us, go ahead and click that Discord link. Discord's a chat app where you can talk to any of our other dev chatter people that have joined there and stay up to date. So anyway, I wanted to thank you all for coming today, and I will catch you in a couple of days. So have a good one. Bye, everyone.